Hello, and welcome to episode 108 of Critical Reroll, where we talk about Campaign 2, episode 32, Beyond the Boundaries of Critical Role. My name is Ben, and I have a dog named Chloe.
My name's Dustin, and I don't believe in pets. I don't like them. I will never have them. And
Yay! And this is Critical Reroll, where we don't know how to do intros.
Matt, you're muted on this stream. Are you?
One day we'll get it right. I'm Matt, and I've got a bird named Reggie, and a family that doesn't read the notes on my door.
At least two of the people that do this podcast.
Yeah! Like, literally, as soon as I was, like, giving you the signals, the door opened. I was like, are you joking?
The problem was I wasn't looking at the Discord at the time.
That's all good, my dude. I will edit this out in the podcast version.
Awesome.
That premium content you get by watching live.
Yeah. So, on episode 32 of Critical Role Campaign 2, we had a lot of different backtracking that went on. Not backtracking in the sense of going back and redoing stuff, but visiting old places and going into new ones, uncharted territories for the Mighty Nine.
Memories like the corners of my mind.
Exactly. So, we start out with the Mighty Nine actually going to leave Zadash and head towards the Menagerie Coast because, for a couple of reasons, mostly due to Ford and Jester wanting to go find someone and find their mom, respectively. So, first, I was talking about this decision to go to the Menagerie Coast. I wasn't expecting it, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, the whole
Yeah.
thing, like, you don't really have to go inspect why these people want this thing inside Ford's chest, because, like, Ford's got it. They're not going to get it, so let's go the other way.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to get Jester backstory and Ford stuff.
I'm excited for Jessica, but I think that Ford is also kind of like,
Trying
what
to
the
get
hell
the
is
other
going
guy.
on with me? Like, what? Yeah, like, what is this? Like, what was that guy? Like, yeah.
My body's
he
going
wants-
through changes.
And I keep putting things in it. Like, help me.
When will this weird warlock piggy bank like pay out?
Exactly. We have that decision to me had been really kind of came out of left field, but then when I thought about it, it made some sense in the sense that I think the cast as a whole probably have grabbed on to some of the plot hooks that Matt has thrown out, and I think some of the biggest ones have been Ford's backstory plot hooks. And I think they're all willing to go help explore that because I think it can be super cool as players, and then as characters, they're basically a group now. And now Caduceus is kind of part of this group after having 2 weeks of downtime in game, even if he hasn't been there for that many sessions. So there's that whole in-game versus sessions dichotomy that kind of put things into respect.
Well, and it's weird too because doesn't Caduceus want to go east, and they're going west, or do I have that?
Yeah,
backwards?
he wanted to go. He wanted to figure out more about what's going on with his forest, and I think that like all his other family had gone east, and I think he was thinking about going east too. But like up where they were, east is really only into like Jorhas.
Yeah, I think that it was that Caduceus has gotten visions of this group coming to get him, so he feels like he needs to stay with the group to learn what is going on with his forest. So
Now,
that
do you
makes
guys
them-
think his family left like naturally, or do they like we got to get away from Caduceus? He is weird as fuck. We did not sign up for
I
this.
I think they're all My hope is they're all just weird as fuck, and they did actually just go off and.
Could you imagine a family like his family if they're all just like him?
Oh, I love it! I want it! I want it now! I will watch a whole campaign just based off of Caduceus' family.
Exactly. So the decision kind of makes sense, and I'm glad that they're really seeing themselves as a group. I think that's cool, and that they're now traveling as a group more than just on a job for the gentleman. Now they are actually a group going for one of their own reasons, other than just money.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
by now
that's
they're pretty much bonded. I mean, aside from Caduceus, losing Molly and things like that, that they're pretty much a family now.
What if Caduceus is the Cid of his family, like in Ice Age? That's what I'm thinking. They just left him behind. They're like, I mean, we're going this way. You can come, but we really will.
Why do we
forget about
always
you."
have to make everything sad?
Because it's D&D,
fun?
and everything is sad about backstories in
D&D
D&D.
can be happy.
No,
That was a
D&D
good question, King
can be
Sundu.
happy.
it's impossible. What mission, Jess, are you talking about in the chat? Like, did they have a mission to go to?
We have that whatchamacallit, the weird letter or whatever, the
Yeah.
person that looked.
But not like a
To go
gentleman.
investigate the
a
thing.
gentleman.
The French sounding name that I can't remember at this point.
To fix the thing that was spreading, there was an issue. I don't know what you're talking about. I might have forgotten. To invest the curse lands.
Well,
Like
yeah, I think that was Caduceus'
Okay,
reason for
yeah.
going. But I think that he's trusting whoever he prays to, I guess, to that he's not going to be led astray and to stay with the group.
Melora.
So, yes,
Moonweaver, isn't it? No, it's Melora. It's Melora.
It's Melora, yeah.
it's Malone.
Moonweaver was last week. Last
Yeah.
episode. All right.
All right. So then, as King Sundu said earlier in the chat, this is the How Your Choices Affected X portion of an RPG, where they can go back and see some of the earliest episodes, how some of the earliest episodes' content has now changed over the course of a month, 2 months, depending.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah. So first, they have to travel out of.
Well, before we
Sebastian.
get, oh yeah, are we?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk
Go.
about the dodecahedron.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they kind of retconned that because Matt kind of glossed over it last week.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago.
And-
3 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Episode 31.
Yes,
what
2
I-
weeks ago. Yes, the episode before the one we're currently talking about now.
Yes. So the dodecahedron is been a big part of them just kind of having it, and they haven't done much with it other than really this is the first time they've really gotten a chance to investigate it. Dustin, if you wanted to say more on what your thoughts were.
Well, so like we learned did we learn that word last week?
Yeah,
Dunamis?
we learned Dunamis
Oh, it's
3 weeks
or
ago.
not last week, but 2 episodes ago.
Yes.
That's right, because I had the sign.
Yeah, what the
Oh,
fuck
it's
is
still
Dunamis?
right here.
Oh, I think you said hey. No, fuck. Yeah.
I did not.
Dunamis.
And Matt's really good with like his flavor text of describing like Caleb following the one line and it branches and so the other ones kind
Yeah,
of
that
fade
was
away.
so good, and like that gave you a lot more insight into what. I mean, we knew that there's this little piece of fate, which I guess is the magic that. Did I have that in my notes? I don't know. It was something about time and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dunamis?
possibilities.
Possibilities. Okay, yeah, right. So we learned that Dunamis is sort of like the magic of like possibilities, and whether it was an ancient magic or whether it was like a new form of magic, no one really knows. And so when Matt retcons to be like, I glossed over this, but you paid attention to it, and he sees those tiny threads, and then sort of picks one, and Matt tells him like, you realize that this is a choice made, and this is now like the thread that you're on. But later, we get once everyone gets to use it, later in this episode, Ford finally gets to spend some time with the thing in Jester's bag, which I just love calling it the thing in Jester's bag. But we kind of learned that that's these threads of possibilities, and as you're like making this choice and you're moving along this path, but like the Dunamis can help you pick one, I guess, or maybe change threads, jump
Yeah,
threads.
or like
I don't
kind
know.
of explore one, and then I don't want to go back. Let's go this one instead.
Yeah, like no, I don't like this thread. Let's go to this one. So it's I really love anytime we delve into this stuff, especially because it's like this is magic that's not in like the D&D world that we know. This is Matt's own creation, so I'm just like ready to learn more as much as I can.
Yep, exactly.
But also we get a little bit of Caduceus noticing that Caleb was sort of zoning out and is like, oh yeah, just go check out the thing in Jester's bag. And he talks to Jester, and Jester's like, well, which thing in my bag? There's lots of things in my bag, and I watched the episode, I didn't take really any notes, but I'm going to give a shout out to Jess here in the chat, because I'm using her notes, and I really love that in her notes it's, Caleb doesn't know about this thingy, but he will later. What is Jester's thingy? I love Jester, and I'm glad she did. Like, I love the way she's just like, oh, what, is that natural? And then like, oh, this thing, Caleb doesn't know about it yet.
And then like, oh, this ancient relic that we've been hiding for 2 months.
Oh, here, have this. But this thing's really cool too.
Yeah, I like it's just a thing that they have now. It's no longer this like beacon that keeps like a civilization going. It's just like, oh, look at this thing, and you get a luck point.
But even is that what it like? Do we believe anything that thing told us? That guy?
I mean, when like a sect worships it so much, like I mean, that's his perception of it, or their perception of it.
Maybe, yeah. But like, how much of that is like maybe propaganda on the Kreen side? Who knows?
Yeah.
I just want more Jorhas. But for now, we'll settle with the Menagerie Coast, and
yes,
I am done talking about the Decahedron for now.
There's a lot more, and I think that's one of the biggest plot threads that they will continue to bring up as time goes on. But before that can happen, we have to get to the Menagerie Coast. But before that can happen, we have to go to one of the first things that they had to do, which was go back to Allfield. Allfield was, for those that have not paid attention, was where they helped save the town of Allfield from all of the gnolls, the critical gnolls that were attacking, and the regular gnolls that were attacking and stealing and killing. They did bad things, and they had to
not almost
save
died.
things. Not almost died.
Like straight up.
And as far as I understand it, Allfield is just all fields.
Okay, so thank you for joining Destin's last episode of the podcast.
So
I do like one of my things that I liked about it was that they actually took the heads and did the whole head on a pike thing to like keep them away, because that's such a like I don't know, a campy thing that you never think actually happens at any sort of world, but like they did it, and it worked for a little bit until the smell started getting to them.
Yeah. So they obviously have to fill in Caduceus on what they did here, because Caduceus had not been part of the party at the time. Molly had, but he's dead. So,
wow.
I mean, he is.
Yeah. So, this is the first time that, other than Zadash, this is the first time that the party can return somewhere and really see how their influence has affected the world. And it's really a cool sight, because you get to see a very positive influence here. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people recognize them for what they did. They were the saviors of this town when it was being very brutally threatened by an outside force, and people respect that. They got very respectable and respected responses from different people.
Yeah, King Sundu beat me to it. There's like the different tiers of where you're like just a person, and then like you're a local hero, and then you become like a realm hero, and then you become like an epic character, and they're like making it into the local hero tier of gameplay. So yeah, it was cool seeing that happen, and like they go back and talk to, is the dwarf man, right, that runs the inn that they tried to save?
Yes,
I believe so.
yeah, the Candle Glow Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, getting stuff done. And they're about 4 months from reopening, which is real cool.
Yep. I really think that it's sweet to see progress being made on something that was called upon so early in the campaign.
And they're getting like waved at and recognized by people in this town.
Yep. And then we get to see Bryce again. Bryce was
Yay.
a very prominent character early on because he was
They.
I think, the first. Thank you. I will do my best because that's what I was about to say. They are the one of the first non-binary characters that we really got to meet. They were very quickly introduced back when they were all fighting the gnolls and attacking, and there wasn't
they're
too
the ones
much
that's like, you
put
know,
on it.
get us ears and we'll give you money, and that's really what kind of got them to fight.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if they, and that's the thing. Just really quick, like when they first come into Allfield, like Caduceus does make the comment like, "Oh, people seem to like you," and they talk about how, like, you know, this is like one of the first places where we did like real good, as opposed to just like, you know, some bad,
convenient
some
good.
This is more black than red in the books. That's what I did like, is that this was one of the places where they started, it was mostly for money because they came out of Trostenwald, you know, with
A lot of people dead and one person in jail.
a different record in a balance in a different direction.
Yeah.
And in this one they sort of like evened it out a little bit.
Yep. And they kept working on it. They definitely got better as time went on, but this was their first step towards becoming something of a good influence.
Well, yeah, and that's what I like about having Caduceus now, is because they get to go back there and we have these fresh eyes that sees this group as, I mean, they haven't really been on this campaign that long, but they've made considerable change. And this is a nice episode that we could see that contrast between what they were 30 episodes ago and what they are now, with Caduceus as being sort of the catalyst to seeing a little bit of that change.
And Caduceus will really just say anything, so that's great. Like if they...
Oh, God, yes.
If they do something that Caduceus is like iffy about, call him out on it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love Caduceus so much.
Yeah. So Bryce was a very important contact that they've made because he's one of the first Empire people that they keep correcting me.
Get
please.
you every time.
Yes, you better. They are one of the first Empire people that they really got to know and actually have a really good impression on.
And isn't
lot
that
of
when
the
they coined the
Empire-
name as well, Mighty Nine?
Yeah, that
Yes.
was Allfield was the night they asked for a name for the books.
Yep.
And like the books
So-
didn't even get sent until recently, we find out.
Mm-hmm. So having that contact in Bryce is super important, because he is an influence in. They are an influence.
Get a sticky note and put it in front of you.
Yeah, I should. They are an influence in the Empire that trusts the Mighty Nine, which is big.
Yeah, trust them so much. Like they go to the tavern and, you know, they're like, you know, what can we do to expedite the process of getting searched when we cross the border? And they're like, well, we have this note from the Starostra, and we can just forge their name. And Bryce is like, oh, I'm not listening to this. Don't care what you're doing. You just can't let me know. Like plausible deniability. Like
I just love
Bryce can
just,
hang.
They're just that sweet like country cop. Like they're doing the Empire's work, but they're also like out in the country, and like not a lot of exciting things happen out there.
Yeah, like the cop that wants to be a cop
Like-
to do good in the world.
Yeah, you know, that's not being corrupted by like the bigger city and things like that. I think Bryce is perfect where they are. But also like I like how they are very like, I'm not listening, but also like I'm like, I don't have that much power. Like I'm not gonna get you very far.
And I saw somebody talking like Bryce could become our oh god, I just went blank on his name. What was his name? They're Vox Machina's guard at their keep that everybody liked.
Oh, Jarrett.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the new Jarrett.
Yeah, I was
When-
kind of thinking that as well.
When
but,
they get a keep, they're totally gonna buy him and be like, "Hey, buy them, get me," and like, "Hey, come work with us."
yeah, probably. I'm not sure if Bryce would do that or not, but
I could try.
yep, it's always worth a try, and it's a show of good faith.
We're gonna gloss over the bar talk?
employ their services, Jake.
My question to you is: are we gonna gloss over the bar talk that made Bryce leave?
Take it. Go for it.
Yeah, you go for it.
How did they get on that? Okay, I remember.
Do you remember? How did they get on it?
So they were talking about how Jester knew the Starostra.
Right.
And then someone's like, "Yeah, he's such a big dick," and then Jester's like, "No, they're not. I mean, it's not that big." And then they got on the subject of, "Well, what's the best dick you've ever seen?"
Then Caleb gets into his weird, creepy questions.
Yeah,
and then
that was weird.
Very defensive about why you're always asking about these questions. And then the question that Bo is like, "So what is the best one?" And then
it's Ford. And Ford's the one that was like, "I want to know the answer."
I
now.
read Bo, but I meant to say Ford. I was looking at the notes. Ford was like, "So what's?" And then Nott's like, "Well, if you can't pick one, just like your top 3."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's Molly.
And then it was.
Of course, it's Molly.
It was Molly.
Rest in peace.
And then the whole Caleb's like, "Last time I saw it, it was covered in eggs." And then Matt was like, "It's the the Benedict or whatever." Eggs.
The continental.
Yeah, the continental. Yeah.
But it was more of an egg McMuffin, and that's I was just like, "Okay, guys." And then Bryce is just like, "Okay, I have work to do. Gotta go."
And bye. And that was the end of their friendship. But more seriously, Allfield was a very good experience for the Mighty Nine, because after the bar talk, which I keep hearing bar talk and I keep thinking of the composer, and I know that's not correct, so you stop. They pack up their stuff and head out, and as they're heading out of Allfield, there are some people waving to them, which again, sign of good things that they did that are being reproduced.
And the little quip where Matt was like, the people that bought them their drinks was one of the people that they saved, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, we remember you." And then Matt's like, "Yeah, it's the Mighty Nine. They never forget a face."
That's
But they
awesome.
totally did.
Do they do anything else fancy there?
Not really. I think they wake up the next day and they head south.
Yep. So
And this is. I'll let you take it, Ben. But this is where we start getting the MVP of this episode.
yes. So they are currently on their way to oh my god, what's Trostenwald, where they first started this campaign. But on their way, they find something super interesting, because we have somebody, cough cough Taliesin, rolling super well the entire episode with a super high perception check.
Crazy wisdom score. I think I have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause he's
With a
got
crazy wisdom score. So he gets a natural 20 on that perception check and notices a cluster of stones that is just kind of sitting there. And no one would think twice about it, but they're there.
And like none of the other members of the Mighty Nine even notice, even though he's pointing them out. Because Matt's like, he's pointing these rocks out to you, and they just look like rocks.
And I liked his explanation of it. Like, you see those stars where they're painted, but they just don't look right. They're random, but they don't look right. And like, this is what they look. They look naturally, but they don't look right.
Yep. So
They're not the right kind of random.
Yeah, not the right kind of way. Which I would be able to pick out too, because not bragging, but
wait, you know rocks, Dustin?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I was worried for a second.
We should call you like mineral nerd or something.
So as they then go to explore the rocks, they find something really cool. Of
More
a
rocks.
bag with a bunch of more rocks, but this time more expensive rock. In the sense of a leather bag with gems in them.
Yeah, and they're all on
500
board.
worth.
They're all like, yeah, we're stealing these, and Ford's kind of the only one holding back, and now it's like, okay, we're kind of good. We're getting there, but we're still gonna do this. Like we're good, but we're not that good.
I mean, to be fair, they're just a bag of gems being left out in the middle of. I don't know how. If I were to come across a bag of gems left in the middle of a rocky outcropping with no one else around, would I take them? I'm not sure.
Oh, I absolutely would. This isn't, what's his name, Quinones. What would you do? They're not on a hidden camera show. John Quinones gonna pop out of a bush like, I see you take those rocks.
So.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to, like, if we see in the background the repercussions of that, like if those were for a drop for somebody to like give to their boss, and if they don't take it to the boss, they're gonna get hurt. Like we kind of see that scene described in passing. They're just like, you hear screams coming from the alley with shouts of, like, you lost it, and then like we know what happened, but it's just fun.
Exactly, and. It kind of reminds me in like a Telltale game where like they happen to check this one specific thing, but it's a super big decision, and they have to either put their joystick to the left or the right to be like, take the gems, don't take the gems.
You're right.
This will cause repercussions in the future.
It's like those games where you have a good or bad scale.
Yep.
But then we meet or not meet, but afterwards we get like this little scene of somebody on a horse. And nobody knows who they are, and they've got like salt and pepper black hair, and they're in a cloak, and their face is covered, and there's that slow motion time where they kind of like all kind of make eye contact, and then they just zoom past them.
And this is where the player conspiracy theory thing always happens when a DM introduces something. Sometimes it's flavor, sometimes it might be important. What is it? We don't know. It might just be a courier running down the road.
The DM wouldn't mention it if it's not important, though, Dustin.
That's the trap that the DM wants you to think.
I will fall for it every time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But we really don't know who that character was or what they were after because they didn't stop them.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but did you have like that anime like image like where they run past, because he didn't say it's slow motion and they like slow down, and
Always.
I just imagine that like locking eyes and the little and then like moving on.
Exactly.
Or like the backgrounds go white and it's just like the silhouette of the horses and the guy,
and it's just like all silhouetted out. Yeah, it's just black and white and like
Yeah,
that's funny.
I got you. In the chat, we have Metadoxy saying, I think they stole from a werewolf. It's going to be a whole thing. Please explain. Why do werewolves need gems? Travis did notice something about the writer, but we don't know what. He didn't roll high enough.
But was it like really like a thing for him, or was it just like... It's one of those things where it's like ambiguous, like you never know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Could it be, what's his name, Sabian? Could we have seen Sabian?
I'm not. I feel like Ford could have recognized that, even with the logo.
The guy had like a mask on and everything.
Yeah, like why are they riding with a full face mask in the middle of the day, weirdo?
They don't get bugs in your face.
Well, duh.
Okay, that makes sense. Whatever.
Look, I've been a horse riding.
I've been a horse.
You've been a horse.
In a past life.
Think about my sentences before I start them. Make sure that I
Wait,
haven't
I thought
them.
Jess was our druid.
I need to get better at finishing sentences.
Oh no.
You need to get better at finishing.
It's like a motorcycle
So-
helmet, I guess. He's trying to conceal something. Who are they?
So after they get past the rider, who we really don't know about, they get to their first ever location of the campaign 2. We're on the one that we started out in all the way back in episode 1, Trustenwald. In Trustenwald, they left very differently than Allfield.
There's a very different opinion of them in Trostenwald.
Exactly. Well, they weren't as publicly known in Trustenwald, I believe, because there was a lot of pandemonium going on. It definitely... People recognize them, or at least some of them do. So, they get to go to, they go to the inn there, I believe. I'm trying to the Nestle Nook, the inn where they first all met.
Mm-hmm. This is the one where Laura should have opened all the windows, but she did it a town early. But it's still fun that she called back to that.
Yeah, it was still a good callback.
Yes.
Quick update on the gyms. Well, people with money sometimes carry gyms. I just want a werewolf to have hidden its clothes before transforming. I know it doesn't work that way, but it would be cool. Yes, Metadox, you can have that. I like that idea. I am on board. That was totally like a werewolf secret drop.
And that's Matt's tin hat moment for.
I like that
like-
version just called it a geocache because I as sometimes as a hobby do geocache if I'm in a new place. So
Mhm.
it's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But back on topic, we get to see.
Fine.
Sorry.
Sorry,
we get
Dan.
to see. We get to go to the Nestle Nook, the inn where they all first met, and we get a really funny scene, in my opinion, with Frumpkin and not actually wanting to drink milk, because there is a difference between a regular cat and a fey spirit summoned cat, because they don't actually need to eat.
I
Or
do
you
like
know.
Liam's like outrage and just like, look, people tweet me that I abuse my cat. I try to be nice to it, and then you, talking to Matt, was just like, and then you just do this to me. Like, I also like Jess's notes. This is, where does it go? And then I went straight to what comes out. That's where I'm going.
Oh,
So-
God.
Interesting.
Does a fey familiar poop?
Or P?
Mm.
Because I believe.
What would happen if a Fey familiar ate something like super important, and then they
they
dissipated?
poofed? Ooh. It would go to whatever plane they're from, I think. That'd be fun. And then they have to, like, go to the Feywild and find out what would happen to it.
Oh man, see now you guys are making me type. I already typed hidden scrying show into my world building notes, and now I'm doing familiar poop question mark.
Familiar poop is important.
Because where do they go? I don't think they have their... I think they have their own little pocket plane after they've been summoned, but once they, like, get killed and go back...
Can they poop in that pocket plane and that poop can ever?
I hope everybody's strapped in. This is the next 30 minutes.
It's like we were driving the car and just all of a sudden I just went grabbed the wheel and went.
Just didn't take the wheel. Oh god, my throat is dead.
Pocket poop plane.
The pocket poop plane, please.
Nice, Jess.
I love it. So.
I am particularly proud of that, Jess.
Yes.
I am particularly proud of your pocket poop plane.
Oh, he's got it. So he picked. So you get to pick what your thing is, if it's a celestial fey or fiend. But once they're summoned and then you do poof them away, it does go to a pocket dimension.
Okay. Good to know. So.
But before that, who knows?
so
there's a pocket
after
plane that has poop in it.
Mhm.
Yes.
So after that, we get to talk about the next big item of business that they had to do here in Trust and World, which would be Gustav, because Gustav is what got them all together, even if he's now locked up in Trust and World, and they want to release him, which I don't know why I was expecting that they wouldn't want to, but.
Or Matt. Matt seemed real, like, confused by it. Or not confused, but, like, surprised by it.
Yeah.
And then how not has so much money to help because not everybody always pays for not to do things. So she's got, like, over 1,000 gold just, sitting pretty.
I really like the shock of like Laura looking over is like, what? And then Matt even going like, yeah, you guys pay for everything, not me. Like,
You're treating her like an 8-year-old girl and not an adult goblin.
yeah. But yeah.
But
But also, like, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't expect Gustav to still be in prison. I thought he'd be like in like some sort of work for paying program, but like still like, and that maybe that he is. Maybe they just happened to catch him in prison. But like, how's he paying it off? Just by sitting in prison? 'Cause
No,
that's
he's
not
working.
really-
They have him working.
Yeah.
But I don't know
I
where
guess
else he
it
would
was-
live.
It was close to dusk when they got finally to Norda.
Yeah, it was 2 hours before dusk when they arrived in Trostenwald, and then they went to the Nestle Nook, had a drink or two, and then went to go talk to Norda at night. So because Norda was getting ready for bed and whatnot, and apparently, this is when we get to really see Gustav after probably his 8 hours or whatever work of community service to help pay off the debt. We have Norda bringing them to Gustav after she figures out why they're bothering her, and saying that Gustav is a model prisoner, has 7 to 8 months left of this community service before being released.
I like how
Which
Norda greeted them like, "Hey, nobody's died since you've been gone. When are you leaving? Please don't stay in my city."
That was great. It's just like, okay, this is the town where we first started off, where our reputation is not that great.
Yep. And I really like that dichotomy between Charlestonwald and Allfield. Because imagine if Norda and Bryce were to ever have a conversation about the Mighty Nine, you're going to get two very different sides of the story.
Yeah, I would love, as a player, I would, out of spite, when I'm back in Zadash, I would make Arentha send a letter to Norda exalting the deeds that they've done for the Empire. But that's just me.
I think that would be funny, but I don't think Norda would be like super phased by it, because she just doesn't seem phased by too much unless she's put on the spot.
True.
That's why I would really like, at some point, if they ever get like super famous and like they have a little bit of time off, I would love for them to summon Norda up to them and actually do that face to face, because I think Norda would be super flustered.
Is it gonna be like the movie Selena, when Selena gets her record deal and then goes into that shop and the shop owner thinks she's poor because she's Hispanic, but Selena's got like a bunch of money and everybody recognizes her, and then she like rubs it in her face? It's a rite of passage when you grow up Mexican. You have to watch that movie.
I am familiar with Selena.
It's a great movie.
It is
Okay.
Beady beady bamba. Let's start singing Selena.
Oh, thanks.
So they
Now
also do
Matt
something
grabbed the
real
wheel.
cool. I did, and I took it where it needed to go. So we have Caduceus, who kind of tries to cut in when they're trying to explain that Molly is no longer with them, and everyone's like, you probably shouldn't talk yet, and so Nott speaks up and like, Molly's no longer of this world, and Gustav kind of is like, he doesn't really mourn Molly. He's kind of just like, he was one of the brightest stars, shined twice as bright but burned out twice as fast. And then
A shame.
And then I forget what prompted Taliesin to want to insight check him, but he does and gets a lot, apparently.
27. A 27 on an insight can mean a lot, when the normal rulings for a hard check is 15, a very hard check is 20, and like an almost impossible check is 25, and you get a 27 on insight. You'll learn a lot of shit.
Right, yeah, he was refusing their money to like make bail.
Yeah.
So Taliesin must have rolled like a 19, because he's got +5 wisdom and then 3 proficiency. So yeah.
Yeah, well, this whole episode just really exposed Caduceus's many like talents. I think, like, I just love Caduceus this whole episode.
We've got
and,
someone
like,
who's the new wise as fuck character.
Yes, and then, I mean, he just instantly comes off telling Gustav some things from this insight roll, and I love how everyone else was like, what?
Yeah, he like in Ford.
I like
in
Ford is like,
character.
just drink some tea and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, for a second.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
like that. But apparently it's the best whisper that Taliesin has ever had. which is just like, I want to know more, but I don't want to know more.
Yeah, and like he
I wanna
used
know
like
more.
a ton of it, like just to like twist the knife into Gustav and be like, yeah, you're hiding from something. We're getting you out so you can
Yeah.
deal with it. Like you need to deal with it. I'm like, oh man, it was so good, and Taliesin just plays characters so great.
And that's why it's so interesting that was his favorite whisper, because it's freaking Taliesin Jaffe. Like, nothing really phases him, really. Because he's done everything, and he's such an interesting person, but for Matt to tell him something in a D&D game that he thought was, like, the coolest whisper...
And I think anything like if that's an emotional like torture or something like I feel like Talison's really like into that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, well, it must have been really good if Talison's like super excited about it, and
Yeah.
I hope we.
You're not paying your debt back. You're hiding from it. It's like, what is it? What did he do? What did you read off of his face?
Oh, what is he hiding? What are you hiding?
And how everyone's like, what did you see? And Not's like, can you see the future or see the past? How exactly, when and where will Ford die?
It will be a crash, and it will be a Buick. So, sadly, we don't get to know the specifics of the Whisper, but we do get to see the Mighty Nine and the Critical Role cast do what they love to do, which is barter until they almost lose it.
Barter to the brink. I usually
barter
call it the barter to the brink.
Yep. So they keep trying to lower and lower Gustav's tally for how much money. Originally, it's what, like 1,700 or something?
I think the original bell was 2,600, and then he worked off, got it down to like 21 and some change. And then they're like, act now, and you can get him out for 17.
Yes.
And then Bo jumps in, like, well, we can take off this. We can take this prisoner who is doing labor for free for you, and you don't have to worry about him. We'll do it for We'll take him for 15 gold or 1,500 gold right now, which is like a weird. Like, what favor are you actually doing to get this number reduced? That's what I was having trouble figuring out.
As somebody who works in finances. I think a big thing is having the money now versus not actually getting money later. I don't know how Matt has this economy being run, but if interest rates are a thing, the time value of it actually is much more increased if they were to get that 1,500 now as opposed to the 1,700 later. The 17 worth of labor. So I kind of see the benefit in just having a lump sum now that they could invest in something, invest in the town, as opposed to getting labor, which would take a long time. So
okay. And it was great how they managed to get advantage for Bo on the roll, because Travis kind of like, you can get advantage with this, charismatic half orc, and Matt's like, well, what do you say? And he does like, listen to Bo, she knows the score. Does like a dance and a quick little jingle. And everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? And he like, I guess does that in character. And so Matt's
I was not expecting him to get advantage out of that.
For the first time you see, this person smile, and she's like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
They never cease to amaze me. Or make me facepalm. This group.
Yep, it's quite wonderful.
They're a giant.
It somehow succeeded with Bo Marisha getting a natural 20 on the persuasion to get it down to 1,500, and then everybody chips in and gets Gustav out, which was their whole goal. And had they failed that persuasion check, they might not have gotten him out, but they bartered to the break, and it paid off for them. So.
But it's like, what is he gonna do though? Like, because the carnival's kind of disbanded or moved on. Like, we don't know where. I don't remember any of their names.
He seemed pretty confident that he knew what he was about to go off to, or whatever.
And how Caduceus' last words.
We may never see him again.
Caduceus' last words then were like, you need to unload this, if not on us, on somebody. Like, you can't keep holding on to this. And it's like, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
There was a debt to be paid somewhere else that wasn't here. So.
And how he's like, if you ever need me, call on me. And Bo's like, really? How can we reach you? So
if they find him.
Join us on episode 235, where they're fighting gods alongside this carnival man.
So
he's the real BBEG.
That would be funny. I'd like that. So they do end up getting him out. They go about their separate ways, and now
Or how
they
Clay,
keep on moving.
Clay doesn't understand the concept of money. He understands the concept. I don't think he understands the value, because he's like, if you have all this money, what's the point of it? And that's my issue with accumulated wealth. Like, if you have billions of dollars, there's no point. You're not doing anything with it. You spend it. Sorry.
Do you want me to go into more?
No,
finance
I
stuff?
hate accumulated wealth, because like you're not gonna live long enough to spend this money. So I like what he's doing. He's just like, he saw a use for the money that he had right then and there, and he used it, and he got somebody out of prison. That's really cool.
That's definitely the moral value of money.
The moral value of money.
I'll keep it there.
Okay.
No, let's not. Look,
Welcome
we
to our
gotta
TED
try and
Talk.
stay on this road a little bit.
No, I have
We
my
put the
hand
bumpers-
on the wheel. I have my hand on the wheel, and I can.
Yeah, let's go to the next place.
So, moving on outside of Trosterwald, after they spend the evening there, Knot does some things quickly before they leave.
Yeah, getting the
A series of chemicals, tree resin and sap, and looking to make an adhesive.
to
And
make a
Tanglefoot bag,
Tanglefoot bag.
Artificers could make.
So
I think a lot of the alchemy stuff from Terry stuck with Sam,
Mm-hmm.
and like he definitely brought a lot of that in with Knot.
Mhm,
Yep.
mhm.
Which I really enjoy.
But she only managed to disguise half of herself and kind of got on.
She got
some
attention
thin
drawn
ice,
and-
yeah, with the crowd
Yeah.
skirt. Ooh, my bad.
But she got away, which was good. And then they head out and start moving towards the border, which this will be the first time they ever actually leave this country, which is insane.
Well, I mean,
They've
they
been here for this long.
Yeah, Matt described it as the first time of like being out of the Dwendalian Empire, but they technically were when they went up north to the Shady Creek Run.
They were in that little pocket out of, but
yeah,
like,
this is like proper leaving it.
yeah.
So, still have a lot to discuss when it comes to the border, because the border is super interesting in the sense that they're poking and prodding all the carts just to see what's in there and out there, which is fine. But the ones coming back into the Empire, because it's technically a wartime, is
They're like super
big.
being searched, and there's like a regiment of the Righteous Brand sitting on both sides of the gorge, or like of the gate on both sides of the gorge, like ready to defend if they need to.
Yeah, from a landscape imagery point of view, like this was probably one of my favorite things too. Is like you just got these mountains, and then like he described it as like this huge cleave through them, and then like this was the way out into the Magic Coast, and like as I'm picturing it, just like this super like armed, secured gate, and travelers coming back and forth in like long lines, like basically like the border. The way I see it is like when I lived in Washington traveling to Canada, like it was always really easy to get into Canada, but then like coming back into my own country took like hours and hours because the line was always like longer. But like I imagine like, you know, coming into the Dwendalian Empire is like getting out is not so bad, but I just had this whole big picture. It was pretty epic in my brain painting.
As somebody who does travel the border into Canada once a year, it's very hit or miss too when it comes to timing in which you cross and how many other people are going across at that time.
Oh, the BC one was always like really bad just because it's the main in Washington. There's not that many side ones to get through.
The Thousand Islands one is never that bad, but not fun.
Anyway, this is us swerving again.
Yep. So they do happen to go, and they're going up, and they get halt. What is your business, and where are you going?
Well, before that, they have this whole conundrum on like, okay, we've got this magic cart. What the fuck do we do about that?
This is another point where I get stressed out because either they're going to end up going one way or the other. They're going to be like, too paranoid about it and think that they're going to get in trouble if they just like be honest with it. But then also like they didn't understand the multiple times Matt has described how
I
this
was so
illusion
mad.
works.
It looks like there's
I was
stuff
so
in it,
mad.
but there's nothing there. It's the illusion makes it look like it's full of just normal things. I thought that was clear.
I thought it was too.
And so they're like, well, let's just take everything out. We'll walk alongside it. Which, I mean, I was like, okay, this is a good plan. And like, and they get there, and the person's like,
And we
oh,
go
what's...
nowhere.
Yeah, like, what's all these boxes and bags full of? And they're like, wait, no, it's empty. We took everything out. And that's like...
No,
It looks
hold
like
on.
there's stuff in there.
That's the point of the illusion, is that it looks like there's, you know. But once again, Caduceus, MVP, is just like straight up like
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
like if
it's
he wasn't
perfect.
like, yeah, because like listening to like the way that the Mighty Nine ends up trying to rationalize things and explain things usually just always ends up with me going, nope, they're getting arrested now.
And like a big lie. Like, we're going
Yeah,
to
it's
buy
like,
wares. Like, no, just you're
just
traveling.
It's just like a snowball going downhill. They just keep adding stuff onto it. Like, nope, you're making it worse. You're making it worse. You're making it worse.
It's
But
the
then
Veggie Tales
Caduceus was
White
just like-
Lie movie.
Yeah. Oh God.
No, get your hand off the wheel, Matt.
Sorry. I'll get in back.
So
So then we get Cad just being like, yeah, right. This is just that we have a thing to protect it against theft. It's here. Just like, look, have a go.
yeah, look in. There's nothing in there.
And they get like...
You can
like,
see.
Captain has to come approve it too, and they're like, okay, we'll be watching you, and we'll keep a lookout when you come back through here.
But that's good. I think that's good if they do that, as long as they're not trying to smuggle anything back in, which they wouldn't now, because they know that people are gonna check this. But they made a case and they were fine going in. If they do the same thing coming back, there should be no problem. If they remember that and don't try to do something stupid, everything will be okay.
They're gonna find an airship and steal it, and they'll never have to go through this gate again. They'll have a new means
That's
of
the thing we
travel.
haven't seen in the Dwendalian Empire.
That's true,
Yep.
but they'll find one.
So, after they get through Border Patrol, they get to the one fight of this episode. But it was really cool how it started out,
And it
because
was almost completely
wasn't a fight.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
cool part. It's like they almost...
I think Matt really wanted them to fight something, but
Well, this is a
Because-
good place. This is a good place to have it. Like, they're not. It's this narrow canyon through this area, these mountains, but because it's like the way he described it, it seemed like it was a very rough mountainous region, and really the Dwendalian Empire is just controlling that one border, so they probably don't have a lot of patrols through these mountains, and this makes it a great place for whatever lives in the mountains to have these ambushes. And I was kind of expecting probably some sort of ambush going through a narrow canyon. I wasn't expecting the creatures that we did get. But I do love that, like, how many people actually pick this language to speak, but it's because
Nobody
he's a
picks.
furbolg.
Mhm.
It's because he's a furbolg and he's giantkin. Like, no one usually picks, like, no one has giant language. And so, once again,
Rolls a super high
Allison.
perception check.
great perception check. Here's the talking.
And
We were
I love that, like, in whatever whisper he got, Matt described two voices talking to each other, and that's what prompted him to do what he did, because he's like, oh,
Yeah.
I heard multiple people over there. Keep going, sorry.
oh, really, was
Well,
it
and,
multiple
like-
people or is it one person?
Well, then he used a spell that a lot of people don't take either, or use. I've never seen it used.
Right?
And this is what I love about Taliesin too, is he's always just a little weirder, and it works out.
Calm
He-
emotions.
calm emotions. And he cast it in that direction. And I love Ettins. First of all, I love Ettins in D&D, and I love Ettins because they're one of my favorite models in World of Warcraft. There's Ettins and the two heads.
Wow.
They're just a great... Okay.
Get it? No, it's wow, World of Warcraft. Ha.
Ha. So, with that pun out of the way, we have a lot of questions that actually comes from the Etten fight that King Sunday brings up in chat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
So we have, first of all, there were two Ettins, which a two-headed Ettin, which is an Ettin, is fine, but two of them working together, that's confusing because they normally do not work together in the first place.
Now, is that like a Matt thing, or is that in the book? Because I forgot to read up on Ettins. Solitary lives. Never mind. They argue with itself. Boo, 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 boo. Most Ettins are solitary creatures as a result. Mm-hmm. Tolerating one another only to reproduce.
So why would they be working together? What caused them to do this? Is this just because they don't think they could take on a caravan by themselves? Who knows? Was it somebody hiring them to actually chase them down? I don't think so, because I feel like Ettins are really stupid, and I feel like they would have spilled something in that case. Like we've been tricked, blah, blah, blah. Or, I'm not sure.
Yep, it's just one of those little mystery things that Matt puts in there.
Yeah.
Or it could just be that they are, like, the description is solitary, and this is just a weird pair that works together. Maybe they're a couple. We don't know. I'm not going to judge this Ettin lifestyle.
Exactly. But the Ettin fight's really cool. They get to do a bunch of different things with a large bow, and they get the enlarged bow mini out for the fight.
Big bow.
Big bow.
Big bow.
Marisha was super happy about that after they found it. Go support staff at Critical Role.
A production staff always saving the asses.
Yes. And then the fight itself was cool in the sense that they got to do a bunch of cool things while still moving the carts along the entire time.
That's what, like, they had enough chaos in avoiding the initiative that I just love and I'm just keep going, just gonna.
Yeah, he tried to just go by him, and he tried to get the two pairs of Ettins to argue with each other. I was like, all right,
yeah, he's still tossing out
He's like, you speak giant?
And he rolled really good on the animal handling with the horses. Matt, did you? Oh, you muted. Cough. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry. But he rolled really great on the animal handling too to get the horses going fast. But yeah, it was not as bad as it could have been with throwing rock. Like, Ettins are notorious for throwing big rocks, and we know how rocks go. Because when they were going to Pyra, and those giants or ogres were throwing rocks at them through Pyra, and I think they almost got one shot, or I forget who, but one of them almost got one shot back in Vox Machina days. Those boulders hurt.
There was the Trial of the Take episodes where they got hit by, I think, was it Frost Giant? Not Frost Giant, Stone Giants.
Yeah. When they were going up to the Frost Dragon.
I think it was Lyra or somebody almost went down.
No.
Good times. Good times. Miss you, Sarah.
Yes.
Ettins are yet another example of random monsters in this campaign having a demonic angle. Marrow, Ettins, Knowles, Lizard Dude at the beginning. Oh, yeah,
the frog.
What was he called? I forget.
Nergalid or something like that?
Yeah, nice callback.
I don't know where that came from, but it was there.
I think that's it.
Was it? I don't know. It's the first thing that came out of my head.
Nergalid, Matt's original creation, feeds
crap.
two ways: either quickly it kills, and then it feeds and blah da da da.
Nice.
Wow, look at me.
Yeah.
You're
rehired.
Okay, good.
He needs this to live.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and with the Ettins having that demonic influence, I feel like that could be brought in so many different ways, or it could just be completely random. I feel like we'll find out later.
Did you guys have any favorite parts from the fight? I liked when one of them kind of came up to the wagon while the rest of them were still hiding in it, and peeks through, and everyone's just ah!
Yeah.
It's just everybody screaming at each other.
Yeah.
We got to see our first fireball from the wizard.
Yes, which is important. because we all know Caleb's relationship with fire is strenuous at best.
Also, he smeared poop on his
He
head.
killed his family.
Yes.
Uh,
So, we're not. I'm not sure why he keeps picking fire spells.
I mean, he said it as like he really likes it in character too, though. He really part of
Yeah.
him enjoys it.
yeah,
So.
like Trent really got through to him on that part. You can only like
He's a
unlearn
messed
so
up
much
guy.
brainwashing.
It makes me wonder if the other two are going to have some sort of elemental affinity.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
One with ice and one with acid, or one with thunder or lightning or whatever. I think that would be cool.
So literal Captain Planet people.
Yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
find his Bulbasaur and Squirtle counterparts.
Okay, well I went there, you went there.
Trent's Professor Oak, but like evil Professor Oak.
That's on brand for us.
2 hands on the wheel turning opposite directions.
And then we crash. So the fight ends pretty abruptly. Well, they kill one like in the area, and then they off the other one as it's running up the valley trying to get away. Like bits and pieces scatter everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, and then of course Caleb goes into shock state, in which Bo has to come over, picks him up as she's shrieking. It's like, oh, okay, and has to wake him up. And
They spend her.
they go to sleep, and then they wake up, and we get to the important part of the episode.
The most important part of this episode, and
sure,
the hugest troll that a DM can throw at their players.
Bigger than 2 Eatons.
And we had a big discussion about this before we even started the podcast.
Bless you.
as does the seasons.
Yeah, so they wake up and they're woken by hoofs clapping through, and they get up and kind of look, and they are described an image of a merchant or some person with a cart, and the cart has cages, and that's like been a big part of this campaign is like people in cages and animals in cages, and they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna go inspect this, and like he describes them seeing like feathery critters, and so Bo waves him down, and he's like, yeah, I'm a traveling merchant, I've got pets. And Jester's like, can we pet them? He's like, no, but you can look at them for purchase. And then you could see Travis just deflate, like, oh man, what is Laura about to do?
Oh jeez.
And so 4 of them run over. You Ford, Caduceus, and then of course Bo and Jester. And we meet
Caleb sitting back, silently judging with his fake hat.
And we meet Kestiv Drudy and his fantastic beasts and where to find homes for them. Yeah, and it's just great because you can see their faces. And this is where I love seeing them in character, because he's offers them, like, we have 2 twin lion or tiger cubs, and he like hands them both invisible tigers to Laura, and she's like holding them, and she's like, it's like they're in my hands, they're so adorable, I love them.
This is like the one thread that like the DM has where your players so well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just see the joy in his eyes as he's like, I'm gonna make you purchase these that you're gonna forget about, and then bad things are going to happen to them, because I mean pets and adventurers are not a mix. Unless that pet has plot armor, like a certain dog in a campaign that I'm in.
Or is like a fey creature that can come back to life whenever
Yeah,
you
they can
resummon
come
them.
back in and out. Yeah, like
or Trinket.
Or Trinket, who had a Pokeball that he could go into and not be harmed.
yeah.
But they
Which
are.
I don't think they're getting those for this campaign.
Not for a long time. Not until they're at least 10 years old, and then they go talk to Professor Oak, get their Pokemon
We're not
badge, and then they
getting
can
on
start their
Pokemon
adventure. So they're offered, the 2 twin tiger
Roads.
cubs. There's
where we podcast, we don't need roads.
3 birds. There's like a baboon that really needs to find a home, and the baboon.
Oh, the poor old baboon made me sad.
Yeah, it's like, what? How are you gonna sell that? And I don't know.
I would buy it.
I would buy everything out of pity. Just like, yeah, I will buy all of these animals There's an owl.
I retire from adventuring and start an animal farm.
There's a
But not
peacock, and
Animal
everybody's.
farm or animal shelter. Two very different things.
Yeah.
There's the peacock that everybody's like impressed that Matt.
Oh my
makes
god,
the
Matt
peacock
made
sound.
the noise of a peacock. Like, that is the sound of a peacock.
I've never heard of peacock, so that was
Oh, they're
that was
mean
a good
too.
invitation.
When I first moved in here, there was a peacock. It was a wild peacock. Her name was Lady Gaga. Well, it was a peahen, but her name was Lady Gaga. When I came to look at the house, she was standing right above my house, looking at me.
Interesting.
That's pretty great.
There's
They're very squishy.
a crimson weasel, and then the thing that everybody watching got fixated on. They kind of glossed over it with all the other animals, but there's a blink puppy, like a little blink dog pup.
When he was describing the head of puppy, and like my face was exactly like Laura's, and then when he said it like poofs out of existence, I'm like,
It's a motherfucking blink dog.
ah! Yeah.
Oh man, so they ask or they're given pricing for all of these animals, and they really just Bo and Jester. Everyone else is like, don't do it, but in game also like kind of do it. They decide on the owl for 20 gold, the crimson weasel for 20 gold, and I thought he had described the weasel as like being able to turn invisible, but it just like crawled up to the thing. It didn't like appear out of thin air. And then the blink puppy for 100 gold. And when they're asking about him, they learn that the owl is kind of a natural predator of the crimson weasel. But Bo likes the idea of a challenge on making them become friends. Because she's specifically like, can we make them be friends?
You could certainly try.
And then Jester's like infatuated with all the animals, but she decides on the weasel. I don't know why she went with the weasel. But then they both kind of split the blink dog. Well, the price of the blink dog. And they have to like get started now training it on who is home or where is home, because it's a blink dog. It'll just go into the ethereal plane and like never be seen again. And they end up naming him Nugget,
Oh my god.
and now they've got Nugget. And afterwards, like, she's holding him, and Jester's like, okay, we're home, this is home, and it disappears and appears on her horns. And then she kind of like picks him back up, and she's like, what the fuck did we just do? We bought a dog and a bird and a weasel.
It's pretty great because I have a feeling a lot of next episode is going to start with them focused on these animals, and they're like over the next couple of episodes they're slowly going to decline until Matt brings it up again at a really inopportune time.
Yeah, Frumpkin. It's like Frumpkin who? Like, nobody cares about this cat anymore. It's all about this blink puppy and this weasel and this owl.
I love Frumpkin, so don't get me started.
Psh, these pets are gonna be cool. And Travis jokes about like starting a Deadpool on which animal makes it or doesn't make it.
The weasel's gonna die so fast, and the owl's gonna fly away.
I think the owl's gonna fly away, and if not fly away with the weasel, then the weasel's just gonna run off. And then the blink puppy's gonna I guess get homesick and then try to find. I like that Travis that blink dog's gonna blink itself off a cliff.
I think the blink puppy has the most, the highest probability of staying with the party and actually being useful in the future. So just like that puppy in the background. So
here's what I did. I got out the baby bestiary.
Yes.
And I was just looking at general care for blink puppies. And I was just looking at the last sentence, which I just feel like it might be okay, guys. Blink puppies actually like to be dirty for some reason too, always rolling around in the nearest patch of mud. It's just a Caleb puppy.
I like Metadoxy just became my best friend, saying that Knot and Nugget are gonna get transmuted by Trent in a Full Metal Alchemist style. Case closed.
No. Metadoxy, we've had this discussion. You're not allowed to do this. I promise.
He's the best.
Ow.
I think we both they tweeted and then I retweeted. Oh, that would be so.
Yeah, because they're not
I
nice.
got so angry.
Listen, if it happens, it's fine.
Oh no. No. So.
People in the chat, if your PCs could buy either one of these animals, or like what would their ideal animal be? If they could get one from a traveling merchant, what would you guys get? Just pick one of your D&D PCs, and what animal would they buy?
Yeah. Mine's actually super easy because I have a Dragonborn Druid Circle of the Shepherd. So he's around animals all the time, but his affinity always goes towards cats. So he would have a pet cat that would stay on his shoulder.
Thortrin would have ferrets.
Okay. Why?
Because I love ferrets, and I want ferrets. And Thortrin is the closest character that is me, so he would have ferrets.
Makes sense.
Misa
Now,
would
what
have
about
something completely random and crazy that would cause trouble.
I
But I
don't
don't know
know
what that would
what my PC would have because he's already a cat. It's a tabaxi. So, maybe.
Another cat.
No. He would. I would go with the peacock and have like a banjo and kazooie like style thing going on where it just stays on my backpack and I can fly with it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That makes zero sense, but I love
Oh wait,
it.
what am I talking about? Misa already has a pet. He has a rust monster.
Nice.
Oh my
It's an
God.
egg right now, but it hasn't hatched.
I would totally strap the peacock to my back, and then I would do the thing where like you jump back and then you're running on the peacock like you do in Banjo Kazooie.
That's how it works.
Uh-huh.
Also, one little side note for Blink Puppies, diet-wise, meat tends to make them aggressive, but a whole vegetarian diet tends to make them docile, and they can eat either or.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I do know Matt has knowledge of the baby bestiary, so he could be pulling from that. What I want
Also,
to know.
please tell me that's the cutest little boy.
That little bullet is. I like the look at the treant, the baby treant.
Is that in
it's
the
a little
first
sprout.
one? Or...
I should be the first one.
Oh my god!
Look at it.
Look at that!
It's adorable.
I'm sorry, podcast folks, that can't actually look at these kind
Yeah,
of things. But
this
if you
is
wanna look at them,
benefit.
Go buy the
Baby
baby
Bestiary,
bestiary.
page 72.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or just watch us
So-
either live or on YouTube.
Exactly. So, and that ends after the caravan has gone away. That ends our episode of Critical Role. There's a lot that happened actually in this episode. All that happened in bite-sized little pieces that we all expanded upon, and then took different roads to get there. But we got there, folks.
It was one long winding road.
And now we're going into the Menagerie Coast, where we're gonna meet probably Sabian and the Jewel of the Sea, Miss Lavore.
Ruby of the Sea, that's who I'm most excited to see.
So we
I
can
want to
finally
see
confirm if
her.
she's a tiefling.
She is a tiefling. I just don't remember where they confirmed it. Maybe somebody in
I
the chat will
didn't
know.
hear that, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
Who knows?
But there's a lot more that will come on in the next couple of episodes
Jess.
from the
I
Menagerie
did
Coast with backstory.
The internet's going crazy about it.
I feel like I heard it. Anyway, there's a lot more that will happen in the Menagerie Coast with Jester backstory, with Ford backstory, with other backstory. Who knows? But until then, it is time for us to sign off.
Guess who's
I-
back?
I've been Ben at Bardic Puppy on Twitter, and I am my own pet. So take that as
Interesting.
I am Dustin at Junerd on Twitter, and I still don't like pets.
I'm Matt, or Matt _ Abernathy on Twitter. And I used to have 2 birds, and that's all I'll say about that.
And this has been Critical Reroll, where we don't know how to stay on track.
Yep,
Have a
yep.
great night, guy.
Good night, everyone.